With more than 12 million inhabitants, Tokyo is one of the largest cities in the world. Here, a Korean Adventist pastor and his family are working to share a message of hope with the Japanese people. The Adventist message arrived in Japan more than 100 years ago. From Japan, it spread to Korea. Today, the Adventist church is growing rapidly in Korea, but in Japan, the church is struggling to survive. Membership is declining. Finding young people who want to be pastors is difficult. Adventist church leaders in the Northern Asia Pacific Division came up with a plan to send Korean pastors to Japan to plant new churches. The program, known as the Pioneer Mission Movement, also has a young Japanese pastor preparing to work in Korea. One of the young Korean pastors is Kim Young-hoon. Pastor Kim and his wife An Sun Lee are working together to share the love of Jesus. Although she's the mother of two, An has been instrumental in bringing new believers to Jesus. Takako Akubo is one of those new members who's accepted Jesus thanks to the work of Pastor Kim and his family. As they share a meal together, Takako and An remember how they met one rainy day while taking their children out for a walk. The two women started talking while their children played. An told Takako that her home was a church and invited her to visit. She did, and before long, Takako was attending meetings and studying the Bible with Pastor Kim. She was baptized in March of 2006. Coming from Korea, Pastor Kim and his family have had to adjust to the Japanese language and culture. They left family and friends behind. But one man has made it his special mission to make the PMM pastors feel welcome and help them share the good news of Jesus in his country. A retired Seventh-day Adventist minister, Sagi Harlu Suzuki, and his wife helped Pastor Kim by giving his family a van to help with their ministry. Thanks to this generous gift, Pastor Kim is able to cover a much larger territory as he visits the homes of people interested in learning about Jesus. Pastor Suzuki believes he has been given a special opportunity to help those pioneer pastors.
There's a special reason for me to help these PMM missionaries. The basic reason is I should have been killed during World War II as a kamikaze pilot. I should have lost my life. But anyway, still, I'm alive here, so this is great thanks. So I want to do something as a survivor of World War II.
As a young man in World War II Japan, Pastor Suzuki trained as a kamikaze pilot. Although he wasn't an Adventist, his Adventist mother had taught him the value of hard work. One night, with nothing better to do, he began polishing the shoes of his fellow pilots who were out on the town. His good works caught the eye and the respect of his commander. Years later, Pastor Suzuki learned why he was never sent on a mission. Whenever his name would come up on the list, his commander would move his name to the bottom of the list. After the war, Pastor Suzuki dedicated his life to the Lord and became an Adventist minister. Although he's retired, Pastor Suzuki has a burden for his people. When he learned about the Korean pastors who were coming to share their faith, he was determined to help them.
In Japan, Adventist evangelism has been done over 100 years, but our works meet difficulties, no growth. So from Korea, young missionary families came to Japan to help our evangelism in Japan. So I really appreciate their sacrifice.
Pastor Suzuki and his wife, Sayoko, appreciated the young missionaries so much, they decided to pray for them. When they saw that one pastor needed a car, they convinced their son to donate his car. Later, they decided to use their savings to buy cars for other pastors.
I was led to faith and to this church through my husband. So basically, I appreciate him. So whatever he plans, that is my happiness and joy also. And the more giving, the more happiness we experience.
Pastor and Mrs. Suzuki have adopted the PMM pastors as their own. Every morning, they pray for them. Using the tools and skills he learned as a publishing director for the church, Pastor Suzuki makes prayer cards and has reminders of the pioneer missionaries all around his home. He's also planted a garden to help raise money for the PMM pastors. He and his wife drive long distances to visit and encourage the PMM workers. On these trips, they often sleep in the back of the van to save money. Lee Jin-won is another PMM pastor who's been helped by Pastor Suzuki. The Kawasaki Church Group has grown in the few years he's been working there. Before Pastor Lee Jin-won began his work, he and his wife spent a year learning the Japanese language so he could preach in Japanese. On the campus of Japan Missionary College, a new group of PMM pastors are preparing to begin their work. Although Kim Bomke is looking forward to his work, he's also a father who worries about taking his young daughter so far from his home and family.
Last week, my daughter got some fever and got some virus in her neck. So every day she cried, and even the night we couldn't sleep. But at the time, I very sorry with her because I chose to be a missionary, but my daughter, she didn't choose to be a missionary. But when I read the Bible said God is always with us, and even though we don't choose our life, He has a main plan for us. He leads us.
Does God have a plan to touch the hearts and lives of people in Japan? Thanks to the work of the Holy Spirit, the dedication of pioneer missionaries, and the sacrificial support of people like the Suzukis, lives are being changed. But more needs to be done. Please pray for the PMM pastors and the people of Japan. And thank you for supporting the work of Global Mission and the mission offerings that makes their work possible.